happy World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. That's today. That's why I'm wearing purple. Today is the day that you wear purple to support ending and preventing elder abuse. So yes, today, June 15th, is World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. And that's not just some made-up national holiday like Measure Feet Day, which is January 23rd, or Monkeying Around Day. That was actually yesterday, June 14th. This is an internationally observed awareness day that was created by the United Nations back in 2006. So this is an actual day, and the purpose of World Elder Abuse Appreciation Day, according to the founders, is to provide an opportunity for communities worldwide to promote a better understanding of the abuse and neglect of older persons by raising awareness of the cultural, social, economic, and demographic processes affecting elder abuse and neglect. And so elder abuse, it's a big problem. So we're going to take a few minutes. Let's join the whole world and take in just a few minutes to understand a little bit more about elder abuse, and more importantly, how can we stop and prevent it. So there are 7 types of elder abuse. They are neglect, self-neglect, abandonment, physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, and financial abuse. All right, and these happen with appalling regularity to an appallingly large number of individuals. And the first 6 are, of course, well outside of my expertise, but they are worth learning about. There will be links in the blog for this post. So if you go to retirementmentorship.com/118, it's the 118th episode, you can find some links to some other helpful resources. However, financial is definitely inside the realm of what we talk about. So today we are going to focus on financial elder abuse. And so what we're going to cover is, what is financial elder abuse? Maybe you've never even heard of this before. So what is it? Who commits elder abuse? And how you can stop and, more importantly, prevent elder abuse from happening. So what is financial elder abuse? Well, financial elder abuse occurs when people take advantage of older persons to steal their valuables, use their cash and credit card, or siphon funds away from their accounts, right? This happens in a variety of ways, right? They can abuse their positions of trust to get close to people and to gain access to their physical valuables or their physical cash or card. They can perhaps gain access to their passwords to their accounts, or in other ways, transfer money out of their accounts into their own. And so there's lots of different ways that abusers can take advantage of those who are older, and a lot of times they are trying to take advantage of maybe someone's diminished capacity to pay attention or to understand technology. And obviously, people are all over the spectrum and all kinds of things. And so we're not saying this will happen to everyone, or that this, but there are obviously a lot of people that this has happened to, and there are horror stories out there. And the financial abuse has led many to be financially destitute, and has caused significant emotional damage to them as well. And so when you think of who might commit elder abuse, a lot of times you might think it's probably strangers, just abusing random older persons, but that's not usually the case. And in fact, according to the National Center for Elder Abuse, 53% of cases involve family members. Yes, family members taking advantage, financially abusing people in their own family, grandparents, aunts and uncles, those types of things. And so, sometimes it's through gaining access to the funds directly. Sometimes it's through emotionally manipulating family members into supporting them or giving them money. And so family members often exploit the relationship that they have with older family members to take advantage and to steal their money. The second category of abusers includes professional abuse, right? Elders often, they give attorneys, managers, financial professionals a lot of trust to help them manage their money, help them manage their funds. And this trust must be placed in the right kind of professionals, the right professionals. And many have been burned by the wrong kind. And professional abuse by financial professionals strikes home for me, being a financial professional. So I want to spend a little bit more time on that. But let's look at the other 2 categories first. The third group of people that often commit financial abuse are caregivers, right? Caregivers in nursing homes, in hospitals, and in-home care situations, they often can use the physical access that they have to older persons to, or emotional access as their daily companion to, right, either just outright steal money or again try to manipulate them and encourage them to give them money or to alter wills or to do these types of things to get more funds for themselves. And the last category finally is stranger abuse, right? I don't know if you've ever received an inheritance via email from a Nigerian prince, or won a sweepstakes of $100,000 that you never actually entered, or maybe you received a request asking you to resubmit payment information to keep your utilities on, and the request came from energy company 8229 at gmail.com, right? Which is obviously an absurd email, and none of these are true. And most of us, a lot of people can detect these blatantly scam emails, and we just delete them, or hopefully a junk mail filter clears them out. But elders suffering from diminished cognitive capacity are more susceptible to these scams, right? And so scammers, particularly online, are creating increasingly sophisticated scams, and a lot of them are targeted at the older populations because they have more success there, if you want to. Social Security and Medicare scams and attempts to gain access to people's financial accounts are big problems. And so, that's the categories, right? Family members, financial professionals, strangers, and caregivers. And I want to, again, just look real quick back at the financial professionals one, right? Because financial advisors, financial services, like a lot of these people are given a lot of trust when it comes to finances. And these professionals committing these financial abuses is a serious problem. And the Securities Exchange Commission, the SEC, the Financial Regulatory Authority, or FINRA, they take this very seriously, right? So the state commissions and all these different bodies, they are very serious about elder abuse, and so are the compliance departments of all the major firms out there, and they really want to crack down. So annual training around detecting and stopping elder abuse is often required for pretty much all firms, for pretty much all professionals, and yet the abuse still happens, right? And there are two types. One's the illegal financial abuse, right? And this is what you probably are thinking of if you think of financial advisor abuse. And these are, like advisors embezzling funds from client accounts, or blatantly, doing other illegal things, right? And while terrible things like embezzlement still happen every once in a while, most of them can be avoided by just having your money with a trusted custodian, which we'll talk about more in a little bit. But there are other types of illegal abuse as well, such as churning, right, where a financial professional will continually and repeatedly recommend that the client moves their money around to different investments and different products so that they can keep generating commissions for themselves. That's totally illegal. You're not allowed to do that. Or borrowing client funds, borrowing it from one account to supplement something else. There's a lot of these totally blatantly illegal things that some financial professionals have done in the past, and there's a lot of laws and stuff, and a lot of regulation, a lot of oversight to make sure these things don't happen again, but they still happen every once in a while. But there's also what I'm going to call legal financial abuse, and these are things that are technically not illegal, and therefore it's much harder to see, right? They're technically not a crime, but they're definitely unethical, right? And while it's not just used on elders tend to be more susceptible to these types of financial abuses. And the most common kinds of these are that I see are in the recommendations of really bad products, right? These products often have very high fees and even higher commissions for those who are recommending them. And I've personally seen a case, right, where a local advisor tried to sell an income annuity to an 85-year-old. Right, and what an income annuity is you take a big lump sum of money and it turns it into an income for the rest of their life, right? Just a flat income that'll pay out for as long as the person lives. But as soon as you do that, right, the moment they sign the paper and that's submitted, that lump sum is gone. And they cannot get it back. And if they pass away, like, maybe sometimes they get some of their money back or whatever, but like you can't, it's an irreversible decision. And it'll pay this out for as long as this person lives, but this person would have had to live to 105 to even break even on this money, let alone actually earn any money and actually have it be a good product. The advisor would have gotten paid up front right away and got that huge commission, so it wouldn't have mattered to them so much. But again, just these things where, again, that's technically not illegal, but that should never happen, right? And to be sold a product that you don't maybe fully understand, or to be hidden from better solutions and better strategies, and it's in my opinion, financial abuse. And luckily in this case, right, the compliance function of that firm caught it and they just shut it down. They just denied it and said, no, you can't sell an income annuity to an 85-year-old. And so again, there's a lot of oversight and things that can help make sure that these things don't happen. But it's even just the fact that these things are still attempted are a big problem. It's cases like this, right, that fire me up because they destroy the victim's finances and diminish the public's trust in financial advice. And so there's a lot of people that aren't seeking the advice that they need, and a lot of older people that don't seek the help that they need from true trusted professionals because of cases like this. And so it makes me kind of peeved, and it's one of the reasons I'm very passionate about fiduciary financial advice, right, and systems behind it to help encourage and enforce that fiduciary advice. And so abuse most frequently happens with commissionable products, right? This is where we see a lot of this happening. The big paydays awarded to those who sell them skew their ethics and insight, and it's part of the reason, right? That so like in our industry, we all have errors and omissions insurance, right? So if we commit an error or an omission and it costs the client money, right? That's where we have this insurance, kind of like doctors and lawyers and stuff like that. They have their versions of this as well. But the errors and omissions insurance is 3 to 5 times more expensive for people who sell commissionable products than it is for fee-only financial advisors like me, right? And so when I used to work for a big broker-dealer where we could sell commissionable products, I paid, I think it was like 4.5 times more than I'm currently paying for that insurance. And I think the reason is obvious, right? That there are more claims, more complaints, more grievances issued against people who are selling commissionable products than those who are just providing advice. And so that's a big thing, and I'm fairly passionate about it. And we'll talk in a little bit about how we can prevent some of these things from happening with financial professionals. But first, let's just see like how would we spot financial elder abuse, right? Maybe you're getting to the age where you're concerned about it for yourself, or and with this one, it's usually outside people. So maybe you see this in your parents and aunt, uncle, and someone from church that you're close with that's maybe older. And the Nursing Home Abuse Center actually had a great list of warning signs for elder financial abuse. There's a link again in the blog where you can just go view their whole article on it. But I just thought it was a great list, so I'm just gonna totally steal it. And so possible signs of elder abuse can include, right, where checks or bank statements go instead of to the person, they go out to the perpetrator, right? Forgeries on legal documents or checks, large bank withdrawals or transfers between accounts, missing belongings or property, mood changes in the older person, such as depression or anxiety, new changes to elders' will or power of attorney, right? When you see those things happening without any external cause, there may be cause for concern there. Now, the elder signed strange documents they didn't understand. The elderly person did not understand their financial situation, unpaid bills and eviction notices, utilities being discontinued if bills weren't paid, and unexpected withdrawals that the elderly person could not have made, right? So just little things, right? Maybe there's a change in their mood, or they're talking about some, they seem confused about what's happening with their finances. There might be a sign that some kind of elder abuse is happening there. And you can detect the actual abusing person by some of the things that they might be doing, right? So perhaps there's this new person is suddenly referred to as the new best friend to the older, or by the older person, or they charge too much for products and services to meet the elderly person's needs, right? And again, we're just kind of talking about that with financial professionals selling really highly expensive, high commission products that they don't really need, but it's easier to get away with someone who maybe can't do the calculus on their own. Force the elder to change their will or bank accounts, have financial problems of their own, make a lot of new financial decisions for the elders. And maybe also you notice that someone in an older population is asking someone else repeatedly for financial advice that's not a professional, right? Just a friend or a family member, those kind of things, and that just seems out of the ordinary to you. Maybe they offer a strange explanation about the older person's financial situation, right? They are the ones like, oh, well, don't worry about that. There's this, and this, and it just seems off. Or they show a strange interest in how much the elder person is spending, right? That can be a big thing when you see someone who's really trying to prevent an older person from spending money and saying, oh, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't buy that. Like a lot of times they're, maybe they've gone in there and they've changed the will to get to themselves. And so they're trying to keep the older person from spending money so that they get more when they pass away, or a whole host of other things. Or maybe they're using the elder person's credit cards without them knowing. Maybe you see them, the possessions or property of an older person without their permission, or using a trusted position in a way to gain confidence to the elderly person. So if you see any of these signs, right, speak up. There are ways that you can report these. And so you can report elder abuse to adult protective services, right? These are state-specific things. So if you just Google adult protective services, Google should pull up the one for your state. And so, in Wisconsin, it'd be Wisconsin's adult protective services, and whatever state you live in, that's the one you would go to. Financial institutions such as banks or custodians. Again, if you think that there may be fishy things going on with their bank or with again, these banks, these custodians, they take elder abuse very seriously, and so you can always report suspected elder abuse directly to them, and they've got all their own protocols for how they investigate that and see if that's happening. Law enforcement, of course, you can always report it to them. Or if it's in a care facility, right? If someone's in a nursing home and you think there may be elder abuse, you can report it to the ombudsman, which is someone that obviously is there to investigate potential complaints and those types of things. And so any of those things are a great way to report if you suspect. And again, even if you're wrong, right, it doesn't hurt to report it. It doesn't hurt to have someone who has greater access actually get in there and make sure that nothing fishy is going on. So if you see something, say something. So how to prevent it, right? So if we see all these things, maybe we can stop financial abuse in its tracks and cut it off. But it's much better to prevent financial abuse than it is to stop it, right? And so an ounce of prevention, of course, is worth a pound of cure, and in this case, it may even be worth a ton. So depending on your demographics, right, you may need to do some of these things for yourself, or maybe you have aging parents or something else that you want to make sure that these things are being done for. So there's 6 things that we can do to prevent financial elder abuse. Number 1 is security, right? Having and maintaining proper account security is paramount, right? Online banking and all these online account access has made things easier for sure, but they also made it easier for users and for abusers to get a hold of these things. So strangers, professionals, caregivers, family members have all taken advantage of online access to steal money. And so there are a few general tactics that we can take to keep accounts secure. Number 1 being using 2-factor authentication, right? If knowing your username and password is all it takes to get into your financial accounts and screw around with them, then it's only a matter of time before someone who isn't supposed to be in there eventually gets in there. And so again, if you're not, a password is probably sufficient for your Netflix account, but it's not sufficient for protecting your money. And so 2-factor authentication is, of course, when they text you a code or have you open up a separate app in your phone and press a confirmation or something, that just a second way to make sure it's really you trying to access the account. So those should definitely be set up on all your financial accounts and on your email, as well, as email is often the gateway into a lot of your other accounts. So that one, make sure your email is secure, make sure your online access to your banking and investment accounts is secure. Of course, never give out your password or security code to anyone that's asking for it, right? If Social Security, banks, financial custodians, and any other legitimate company will never ask you for your password. Ever, ever, ever. If anyone on the phone is ever asking you for your password or for you to forward a security code to them for them to input for you, that is a scam. No legitimate company will ever ask you for your password or for your security code that's texted to your phone or sent to another app on your phone. Hang up and then call go look up your actual institution and call them directly, go change your passwords, do whatever it takes to secure that account. Never give out your passwords. And then verify any email requests, right? Sometimes you'll get emails from companies that you work with that you think are legitimate, right? Because it'll say from support@schwab.com. But one way to easily test this is when, because people can make their email look like whatever. The way that email systems work, they can input a name that they want to display instead of their email themselves. And so what they'll often do is they'll display a legitimate looking email address over top of their fake one. Right? But one thing you can do is anytime you get an email from someone that seems a little bit off at all, you can just double click on the name of the sender and it will display the actual email address that the email is coming from. Right? And there's obviously a big difference between getting a real email from support@schwab.com and getting an email from Schwab support 1x1@gmail.com. Right? Those are 2 different things. And so you always look to see what the real email is and if it's legitimately from your institution. And then lastly, insist on voice instructions, right? Whenever we personally get an email from a client asking us to transfer funds to a different account or whatever, we always call them up. And especially we hadn't talked about it before, it was unexpected. We call them up, listen to the real voice, right? This doesn't really work with like big banks or things that they don't really know you. But for me, right, I know my clients, I've met with them, I know my clients' voices. And so I can call them up and make sure that they really requested that and I don't just go off of email. Because if a scammer got a hold of their email, again, which is why it's so important to secure that, they could always email out requests to financial institutions. If that's all they're doing, is they're just honoring email requests, you should insist on voice confirmation, voice instruction instead. So security, that's number one thing you can do to protect yourself from or protect your loved ones from financial elder abuse. Number two is security. Number two is fiduciary, right? And I've talked about this a lot in this podcast, in particular, episode 88 on what is a fiduciary. So I'm not going to talk about a bunch here, but again, most of the professional financial abuse happens with commissionable products, right? With all these different people that are incentivized to put their interests above yours or above your elder family member. And so this can be totally avoided by just working with fee-only fiduciary advisors. They can't sell you anything. All they can do is provide advice and sell you advice 1 month or 1 quarter at a time. Right? And so you can cancel anytime, you can leave anytime. There's no big way for them to get a massive payday up front and then leave you stranded. And so it's just if your professional is not working in your best interest, why are you even working with them? So number one is security. Number two is fiduciary. Number three is transparency. Right, there's very sin is supreme in secrecy. And so whether or not you believe in God or not, right, we can all agree that elder abuse is sin and it thrives in secrecy. It needs secrecy in order for it for people to get away with it. And so we've got to bring it into the light and it'll die. So transparency defends against strangers having trusted, by having trust, transparency defends against strangers by having a trusted family member be able to see what's going on inside of accounts, right? If someone else can see your accounts and there's some transparency there, they'll be able to look for weird transactions or transfers going out to another account that they don't know about. And so it also defends against untrustworthy family members by revealing situations where to trustworthy family or to trusted professionals, right? And so sometimes family can help spot a untrustworthy professional, and sometimes trusted professionals can help spot an untrustworthy family member. Either way, having multiple layers of transparency there really helps. And, for instance, I've got a client in their 70s who became a client from a commission advisor because her son was looking into fiduciaries and recommended that she change. And he zooms in to all of our client meetings just to make sure that his mom is getting great advice because she doesn't know enough about these things to be able to tell the difference. And so that's great. And I welcome that. And to have that extra layer of transparency is awesome. And so if your professionals are hesitant about that, they don't want anyone else to be involved in the conversations, or you want to check in with your aging parents or someone else that you care about, and their professionals are saying no, like they're not, they shouldn't get involved. Don't bring them into this. That's a red flag, right? So transparency helps. So number one, we had security. Number two, fiduciary. Number three, transparency. Number four is custody. Right, and a custodian is a company that actually holds your funds. And so there are a lot of really popular custodians out there, and in no particular order, some of the most popular ones are, Charles Schwab, TD Ameritrade, Fidelity, also known by National Financial Services, Pershing, and Vanguard. Right, so there's the very popular ones. If you've got your money at a real custodian, then that's great. You want your money with a big time custodian. I don't know if you remember Bernie Madoff, right, who embezzled funds of thousands of people. Well, the problem with that was that people were writing out checks to Bernie Madoff. They were writing out to his company, and his company was acting as the custodian, which is why he could just waltz off with most of it. And so, or perhaps you've watched a Netflix show Ozark, and there's a scene in there where the main character is laundering money. He used to be a financial advisor, and so he's meeting with an older lady, and he still says he's a practicing financial advisor, and he convinces her to move his money over to him. And then the next scene, he's promptly stealing it. Right, and shoveling it off into something else. And a lot of people are like, can they do that? Like that seems way like, I don't want to work with a financial advisor if they can just steal my money like that. No, not if you're working with a real one, right? The only reason he can do that is because she transferred her money directly to him. And so your money should always be held with a trusted and reputable custodian, not with the person who's directly giving you advice on it. And again, all the main firms, everyone does this who's doing it legitimately. And so it shouldn't be a problem. But if you ever, if you're not working with a name brand themselves, like, my firm, Lacrosse Financial Planning, like, it's not a national name, right? You wouldn't know that for sure. And so again, if you or someone you trust is working with a financial professional and they're working with a company that you don't know the name of, right? Then just make sure that they are indeed using a custodian that you do know the name of, or that you can look up and find very easily. Like we use Charles Schwab. We're very happy with them. They've been an awesome custodian. And so, you get the local attention of someone who actually knows you and knows your voice and knows your situation. And then you have the big security of a Fortune 100 firm behind that. So we think it's the best of both worlds. But you want to make sure that you are using a custodian. So again, we got security, fiduciary, transparency, custody, and then we break our little Y formula and go to trusted contact. Perhaps you, right, or your parents have reached an age where they want to increase that transparency without handing over authority, right? We want more transparency without necessarily offering over authority. And so you can now add a trusted contact. It's called the trusted contact to virtually all accounts in the US. Pretty much any bank custodian is going to support this feature. And what a trusted contact is, that's someone you trust, obviously, who you want to grant view-only access to your accounts, right? So they can view what's going on in there, they can get statements, they can log in and see transactions and history and all those things, but they won't be able to do anything with it, right? They can't transfer money around, they can't make any withdrawals or anything like that. It's just a way to increase transparency without giving them any authority. And so, a trusted contact is a great way to add that second set of eyes just to watch for signs of elder abuse. And I recommend that clients start thinking about adding a trusted contact at age 60, and that by age 70 that you have someone else that you trust that can just have that access and be able to see that. So that's number 5 is trusted contact. And lastly, number 6 will be financial power of attorney, right? And so if you want to not just grant the transparency, but also the authority, then you will want a financial power of attorney. And so what that is, like, granting financial power of attorney to another individual allows that person to act on your behalf in financial matters, right? And they can include or exclude anything, including financial decisions, opening accounts, transferring money, making payments, and many more things that could be in there. And so we covered financial power of attorney a lot in our estate planning essentials workshops. You can go to retirementmentorship.com/workshops and you can find that one and doing that. But here's just a few items to consider with financial power of attorney. One, it would be scope of power. How much power, how much authority do we actually want to give them? And so a general power of attorney gives them control over basically all your financial matters. A limited financial power of attorney gives them specific control over just specific things. And so depending on where you or maybe your family members are at, you may want a general one or a limited one, depending on those cases. The other thing to think about is now or later. Do you want to give them the authority right now, or do you just want them to have it later on, but you want to make sure that you pick right now who's going to have it, right? And so one of the main reasons to add financial power of attorney is to make sure that someone you trust will make decisions in your interest when you no longer can, right? And so many folks, eventually we lose what's called capacity, the ability to make financial decisions for ourselves. And even if it's just for the last few days or weeks or months of our lifetime, most of us will lose that at some point. And so do you want to have someone that you trust who knows your wishes and what's in your best interest to be able to make those decisions for you? Most people, yes. And again, you can make your spouse your initial financial power of attorney, and then you can name other people to do it as well. And so, eventually, I think most people are going to want this. And so that's what you can do. What you can do is a springing power of attorney, and that springs into effect when you lose capacity. Right? So maybe you don't want someone to have financial authority over your stuff now, but if you ever lose the ability to make decisions for yourself, you want them to gain that authority at that time. So you use a springing power of attorney to make sure that happens. Minimally, everyone should have this, right? So you want to make sure that when or if and when you lose capacity, someone's there to make decisions for you. Or you can make it a non-springing power of attorney, which means it's in effect right now, right? As you sign it, it automatically gives them that power, right? So my spouse and I, we have non-springing power of attorney for each other because we want to be able to help manage, our joint finances are signed for each other at any point. And then we have springing power of attorneys for other people if something should happen to both of us and we both lose our capacity. And the last thing you want to think about is maybe, do you want that power to transfer through, to go through that transition of moving from being able to make financial decisions to losing that capacity to do that? Right, so a durable power of attorney means that you're giving them control now, or authority now, and that if you lose capacity, they will still maintain that authority, right? They'll still maintain the power. A non-durable power of attorney means that you will want to give them financial authority now, but if you lose capacity, then they will also lose their authority. right? And so that might be something where, hey, for convenience, I want this person to be able to sign for me. I want them to be able to do these things for me, but only as long as I can check their work, right? And verify that they are doing things for me. If I ever lose that ability, then I want them to lose their power. And so one strategy is to have a non-durable, non-springing power of attorney for someone that you want to have convenient access to stuff and be able to do things on your behalf right now. And then to have a springing, durable power of attorney. And so you have one person that's helping you while you're still with it, and then that power will automatically cease for them when you're no longer with it, and it'll automatically activate for someone else who you'd want to take care of it in that event. So generally, you need to have a signed statement from 2 attending physicians that say you've lost your capacity for one of those to come into effect. So just to wrap all this up, right? Financial elder abuse can be perpetrated by family, caretakers, professionals, or strangers. They abuse trusts and they abuse position to steal money or influence these elderly people. And so you can spot elder abuse, right? And if you know the signs, but preventing it is much better. So again, the 6 ways that you can help prevent financial elder abuse for your family members, for yourself, or for other loved ones is ensuring the following, right? That number 1, you have security, that your online accounts are secure. Number 2, fiduciary, that you're working with someone operating in your best interest or theirs. Transparency, that professional dealings are fees are fully transparent. You can see what's going on. Number 4, custody, that your accounts are with a reputable custodian such as Charles Schwab, Fidelity, Vanguard, or Pershing. And number 5, having a trusted contact. If you're between the ages of 60 and 7, you want to grant view-only access to someone you trust to be able to see your accounts. And lastly, number 6, financial power of attorney. Minimally, right, we should have a springing financial power of attorney. And for when you lose capacity, and you may want to consider granting that to somebody now. Again, see the whole workshop that we did on that for more information. Together, we can prevent elder abuse and stop it from happening. You can wear purple on World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. That is today. So thanks for joining me, and happy World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. See you next time. Cheers. I hope you enjoyed that. And if you did enjoy that, you would love being a part of our free membership community. It's called Retire Membership, and you can sign up today completely for free. When you do that, you get a host of bonus and exclusive content that we don't give out anywhere else. For example, you can buy my book, 3D Retirement Income, on Amazon, but if you become a Retire member, we will send you one for free or give you the audiobook and ebook just for signing up. You also get additional bonus content, exclusive content, including Client Corner insights from some of the best minds in behavioral investing, workbooks to go along with our workshops to help you get the most out of it, and more ongoing bonus and exclusive content. Some of this you can't get anywhere else, and so we would love for you to join our community. You can join now at retiremembership.com. Otherwise, there's a link in the description of this video where you can sign up. All we want to do is continue to give you the best information out there so that you can retire successfully and stay successfully retired. So you can go in there, do that on our website. There's also a longer form podcast. I think it's episode 80 that will help explain what it is and what we're trying to do with Retire Membership. But join now for free. Get this and much more exclusive content by joining us today. We look forward to seeing you there, and thanks for watching. Cheers.